See you, Facebook. What is up? Good day, friends. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. As you're tuning in, love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, love to know three things you're grateful for over there in the comment section. KJ, what's up? Hamid, nice to see you. Ali, Maria, nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to give you guys just a moment here before we dive into day number 67 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. Today's topic is two things that are scientifically proven to destroy your intimate relationship. And then we're going to talk about four things that are scientifically proven to enhance your intimate relationship. Poppy, what's up, Moon? Nice to see you, Ola. Welcome. I see friends from Amsterdam in here. I see friends... What's up from London? Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Grateful for the beautiful people around me. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to dive in. My wife and I are reading a new book. Let me grab it. Oops. So my wife and I, oh man, I lost my place in the book. My wife and I have been reading a new book. It's called 8 Dates by John Gottman. It's Essential Conversations for a Lifetime of Love. And in the beginning of the book, it talks about two things that after doing 30 years of research with 3,000 couples through their love lab, these researchers found that there's two things that if they sat a couple down within 5 minutes of listening to this couple talk and watching them interact, they could tell you with like a 70 to 80% accuracy if the couple was going to stay together long-term or fall apart. And then if they were going to stay together, if they would be happy together or if they'd be miserable together for however long they stay together. And it was like, oh boy, that's wild. And so what's interesting is they figured out there were two things that would just destroy a relationship very quickly. And they talk about them in the beginning of this book. Number one, when they put those couples in the room, they found out, now if they watched the tape or the couples for an hour, they could tell you with a 95% accuracy. 95% accuracy within an hour of watching the couples. Within 5 minutes, they could tell you within like a 70% accuracy. Within a half hour, probably 80% accuracy. So they're watching for patterns. Now, the first pattern they're watching for is positive to negative ratio of interactions, meaning how they look at each other, how they speak to each other, how they speak about each other, and what they focus on topic-wise. So when you say, tell me about your partner, what is it that they bring up? Do they bring up the time they pissed you off and how they upset you and where they're frustrating you and how they're not good enough and all these different things? Or they bring up how beautiful they are and how you made it through a tough time and how you've overcome obstacles and how you've done this stuff? And they ask them questions like, when's the last time you argued? What was it about? Now, the couples who fall apart talk about, oh, they did this or I did this or this happened. The couple who stood together said, yeah, it was really tough, but we made it through. Here's how we made it through. We're proud of these things. And it's like, wow, how interesting. And so the positive to negative ratio always has to be tilted. If it's if it's more negative than positive, they're done. If it's 1 positive to 1 negative, they're done. If it's 3 positive to 1 negative, they're stable. That means they might stay together and they might be miserable together. If it's 5, 6, or 7 positive, the higher the better to every 1 negative in the way they look at each other, in the way that they talk to each other, in the way they speak to each other or about each other. If it's, let's say, 6 positive to every 1 negative, at that point, they've got a chance to be one of the masters of relationship. Now, that's training. I remember when I read that research study a long time ago for the first time, my thought was, why chance it? Why hope that you just happen to focus on the good stuff? I was like, why not make that a ritual that every day I always ask, what is the most amazing thing about the woman that I love? What's the most amazing thing about her? What do I love about her today? What do I appreciate about her? How do I hope she feels today? you know what am I most proud of about this human being? What really truly it makes her magical in my eyes? And my thought is, why not start every day by doing your 10 to 20 favorite things about the person you love and flooding your brain and literally offsetting the ratio to start with on purpose, not hoping or wishing or just kind of waiting around to see what happens kind of crap, but just deciding you're going to make it a ritual to do it, to build the positive ratios in your favor to start with. And so that's a ritual I've done with my wife. And something we love to do is we take a walk together and we tell each other, here's what I love about you. Here's what I appreciate about you. Now, how this relates to business growth, there was a bunch of research done. My wife and I did a bunch of training last year for corporate culture through different organizations. And one thing that was the number one thing that's asked for by employees is better employee recognition. Better employee recognition. Now, what that meant to the boss of the company was, we have incentive packages. We give them bonuses. We give them time off. We give them lots of recognition for hard work and good things around here. What it meant to the employees was really simple. I wish they'd recognize me for what I had. I wish they would say, thank you for sending the emails, and thank you, or please, help me out with this. And I really appreciate you taking the time to show up today and give it your best. And bosses go, well, that's obvious. That's why I'm paying them. But employee recognition was the difference between people staying at their job or leaving their job, or worse, staying at a job they hated when their performance started to go down. Ouch. That means you have an employee that you think, well, that's why I pay them, so they should just do it. They're staying, they're miserable, which means they're going to be worse at their job every day they're there, which means your productivity in your company is going to drop. On the other hand, why risk it? Why not build a habit of saying please and thank you to everyone around you? Why not constantly recognize them for all the little things they do? And this takes practice. This is something, if you want to build your relationship, it takes practice to recognize and acknowledge everything. Watch this, especially the small stuff. Thank you so much for taking time to put that on a plate for me. Thank you so much for taking time to make the bed. Thank you so much for taking time to toss the laundry in. Thank you so much for taking time to sweep that up. Thank you so much for taking time to help me with this, or to do that, or to accomplish this. Thank you so much for showing up and working so hard today. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for taking care of the kids today. All the normal, obvious stuff that we do. Thanks so much for taking the trash out. It means a lot to me. The constant acknowledgement of that, constant builds it in your positive ratio in your favor. So there's one other thing. So one is the negative to positive ratio. The second thing they talked about that can radically end a relationship and screw it up is something they called a negative comp. A negative comp is a negative comparison, meaning especially when you get upset, especially when you get in a fight, especially when someone really ticks you off. If in your head you're saying, you're negatively comparing them to another, it would be so much easier if I was with that person. It would be so much easier if they just weren't here and I had someone else. It would be so much easier without them. If you're negatively comparing your partner to some other situation, person, opportunity, moment, your job, I wish I was just working right now because then I wouldn't have to deal with their junk, their crap. Whatever it is that you do, if there's a negative comparison, it's the end. It's just a matter of time until it falls apart. So positive to negative ratio, you might be able to stay together, but be unhappy. Negative comparison, if your brain starts doing this consistently, it's gone. It's just a matter of time. It just until it stacks up enough that you're out of the relationship. And so there's two things that if you screw these up, it's either going to end or it's going to stay and be horrible. Now, I promised you real quick, I'll give you 4 things you could do just real quickly here that can bring you together, scientifically proven. There's lots of people who have epiphanies one day sitting on a rock and say, well, here's how you have a great relationship. But this is scientifically proven in a laboratory setting and saying, wow, 3,000 couples for 30 years. Here's the stuff that actually makes it work. Number 1, practicing turning towards your partner. Now, what does that mean? It's really simple. When your partner makes a bid for your attention, that's like, hey, check this out. Or, hey, have you seen this? Or, hey, can we talk for a sec? Anything that's a bid for your attention. What it means is you take a breath You stop what you're doing. You then turn towards them and lovingly communicate. Yeah, sure. What's up? Show me that. All the couples who stood together, over 3,000 couples, 30 years, the ones that stood together, had amazing relationships, are the ones who practice turning towards each other instead of ignoring, instead of turning away, or instead of pushing away from each other. But they stopped and lovingly said, sure, let me check this out. Now, in a business setting, this is the opposite of what everyone teaches for time management skills, because you want total focus, zero distractions, shut it off, put your blinders on, and have no one interrupt you. Now, in a relationship, that'll never work. In a relationship, you need to practice stopping, turning towards, lovingly connecting in that moment every single time they make a bid for your attention. I wrote an article for Entrepreneur Magazine. It's on their website, and it talked about, is going all in on your startup going to cost you your relationship? And we talked about that right there, that concept of turning towards. If you make your partner the number one most important thing, they'll never have to constantly battle for your attention. Now, if they always feel like your business is more important, your money is more important, your family is more important, your other stuff is more important than them, they're always going to be fighting for it. And that's tough. So make them number one, and they'll know they're number one, because you always stop and put them first, regardless of the situation. Second thing you can do, make your partner's dreams come true. Figure out and learn, what is your partner's life dreams? I make it a goal every year. I talk about this quite often, but I look at my wife's live it list or bucket list, the things she's always wanted to do in her entire life. And every year I try to make one of those come true. And so it's my mission to help her turn her dreams into reality. And she does the same for me. And every year we work towards turning each other's dreams into reality. Now, that can be simple stuff, that can be big stuff, but it's every day making the decision that you're going to work your face off to see if you can help make it reality. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It just could be simple things, little things they've always wanted to experience, or something they've always wanted to do, or a place they've always wanted to go. Or my wife loves animals, so I took her to snuggle koalas in Australia, swim with the pigs in the Bahamas, and go, snuggle a panda bear in China. But little things, little tiny things, and those are big ones, but little ones also make a huge difference. The other one, just to throw it out here, is the positive perspective. Believing that everything your partner does has a positive intent. The core of their soul is doing it for a positive reason. That's a big one. And then the final one of 4, there's 7 of these, but I'll give you 4 today. The fourth one is creating shared meanings. And meaning is everything. Right now, my wife and I have been doing this little constant blood sugar monitoring, where we take our blood sugar and check it out and see what our levels are throughout the day. And she noticed something the other morning when we were doing our hour in the morning on Sundays, where we talk about everything we learned about relationships this week, little ritual we have. And she noticed something. She says when her blood sugar starts to drop, she starts to talk faster, because she says she starts to babble, because it feels like her blood sugar is coming low, and she just starts to get all the words out to try to get it out quickly. So all of a sudden she started talking really rapidly, and she had told me that, and I went, oh, her blood sugar must be dropping. So I stood up, went to the kitchen real quick, grabbed a little bar, brought it back, and broke off a little piece and was like, here you go. And she looked at me and she's like, you're just trying to get me to shut up. And I started laughing. And I said, where in the world did you come up with that meaning? Because that could mean so many things. To me, it meant, oh my gosh, my wife's blood sugar is low. She must be hungry. I'm going to go get her something to eat so she could feel better. To her, the meaning in that moment, she changed it in 10 seconds later. But in the moment, it was, you're just trying to get me to shut up. And she noticed it. She caught it. She was like, wow, how silly is that? My husband literally knew that I was hungry and went and got me food. And the meaning my brain came up with was, you're trying to shut me up, instead of, wow, he's trying to make sure that my blood sugar is stable. He's trying to take care of me. He's trying to love on me. He's trying to help me. He's trying to care for me. She caught it in 10 seconds, and I'm so proud of her. She turned that around in a heartbeat. She goes, you know what? That was so silly. Gosh, my brain can do some crazy shit every now and then. She goes, wow, thank you so much for taking time to go grab me a little snack there. And it was funny. We checked her blood sugar, and literally within probably 10, 15 minutes, it went bloop, 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 right back up. And then she was relaxed again and enjoying the conversation. And all it took was the ability for a meaning to shift. So the fourth one we'll give you today is continuing to keep the positive meaning in all that you do, so that when you have a chance, when something happens, to say, okay, what's the positive meaning in this? And you might just have to ask that question in the beginning and get your brain to go there first and then go to other things. So there's 2 things that can royally screw up your relationship and end it. There's 4 things that can make it great and make it last. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Tag someone who needs this, and I'll see you tomorrow for day number 68 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. You have to save this live. I will, and I'll post it in the IGTV section on this little profile. So see you all later. Have an amazing